Hey guys, how's it going? This is a video from Headline News that aired quite a while ago, and they're reposting it on YouTube, and I just saw it today, so I want to talk about it. It's Oprah talking about the Trayvon Martin case. I think it's a perfect example of how America is out of touch with the founders' ideals. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because she was probably being led around like most people, believing things that the media was saying even though it was totally false. I mean, in one case, we had some of the people that had worked on the Stand Your Ground case suggesting that this kind of case is not what they had in mind when they created the Stand Your Ground case. Of course, they believed at that time what the media was saying, that George had hunted down Trayvon and shot him in cold blood, which is, of course, now we know is bullcrap. That now we know that Trayvon doubled back and attacked George and beat him and tried to kill him. So, yes, Stand Your Ground was created just for this kind of case. And they're probably not going to re-interview that guy and point out all the facts of the case now, the guy that was an author of the law, because they just don't want us to know what his opinions are on this case. They just want to take that first statement that he made where he was totally misinformed on the case and say, well, this is not what the law was made for. And I'm going to have to agree with him based on that misinformation that, yes, Stand Your Ground was not created for people to chase people down and kill them in cold blood. No, it was made so that if somebody gets you on your back and is pounding your face and busting your head on the concrete and you happen to have a gun, that you can pull it out and shoot them, or whatever weapon you have. If you have a knife, you can stab them in the heart. It doesn't matter, because that's what the law was created for, and that's what the author meant it for. So if you want to ask the author, was it meant, did you create the law specifically so that if somebody's on their back, have no way to escape, has their nose broken and their head's cracked open in the back, or at least it's bloodied and there's big bumps, no way to escape, is that what the law was created for, so that they can escape, so that they can, if they have to use physical deadly force to get out? Yeah, he would have to agree with that. But that's not what the media asked him. The media said, did you create this law so that a neighborhood watch can chase down a unarmed teenage kid and shoot him in the back? Because that's what they were reporting at the time. In fact, a lot of people still report it in that way because, they've got an agenda. They're either racist or they're gun grabbers. Most of the media is both. So, if you're talking about mainstream media, CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, all those guys, they have an agenda. And if they don't have an agenda, they don't stay there long. I mean, if you're not in agreement with their agenda, you're not going to be working for those people, or you better fake it pretty well. So here's Oprah.
I am infuriated. I mean, just last night I was just thinking, what a shame, not just a tragedy, but a tragedy for him and his family, Trayvon, but a shame and a tragedy for a justice system in a country called America in 2012, where that man has not been arrested and questioned.
Right.
So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say that she didn't know the facts of the case at that early date, that she was out of the loop, because remember, this article came out originally in March. It was March 28th, so about a month after the shooting. And, of course, at that time, we didn't have the picture evidence of George's bloodied nose or his bloodied head. And whenever somebody suggested there was evidence, they called it a lie. And even to this day, on the video I posted yesterday where it shows the picture of his broken nose, we get a lot of people saying that it's photoshopped. Well, these were pictures taken by the police in the police car. So if it was photoshopped, then they're suggesting the police did it. So they better find out and prove it.
Just is, and we all know that it is. I mean, and as every day ticks, I think this is the 29th or 30th day. It's unbelievable to me that man has not been arrested.
Wow, you could really hear the fury in her voice there. And Oprah really capturing the way so much of this country feels about the Trayvon Martin shooting.
And that's the sad part, because people like Headline News and a lot of other mainstream media had pushed this case as if, all these lies. They want to call them facts of the case. Of course, now we found out that they weren't facts of the case. They were misrepresentations of the case. No, George did not chase down Trayvon and kill him in cold blood. In fact, the evidence shows that Trayvon ran away and came back to the same location 4 minutes later to confront George. Dee Dee, the girl who supposedly was on the phone with him during that time, also said that Trayvon spoke first when confronting George. The witnesses say that George was on the bottom screaming for help. The evidence is overwhelming in support of George, yet we have people who refuse to see that, and based on the color of the skin, will absolutely deny the facts of the case. Take this same case, change the color of the skin, and those people will change their opinion exactly according to the color of skin. So if somebody's on Trayvon's side right now, and we change it over and say Trayvon was the guy that had to shoot George because George was attacking him, well, then they're going to go over and say, yeah, that's right. Trayvon had every right to defend his life while George was on top of him, breaking his nose and banging his head on the concrete, because they're interested in race. See, people like me, we don't care about the color of your skin, but we say if you are in this situation and somebody's banging your head on the concrete and refusing to let you up, you have the right to escape whatever way necessary, regardless of the color of your skin. You'll never hear me defend a person's rights based on the color of their skin. And you'll always, in every case, hear me stick to principle. I always stick to the principle of the case. Tell me what's going on in the case, and I'll tell you the justice of it. I don't need to know the skin color. Don't even tell me the skin color, because it doesn't matter to me. I'm maybe one of the few people in this country who doesn't give a crap about skin color. And the only reason skin color is even a question in this thing is because racists made it that way. And also, of course, because there were black kids that were breaking into houses, which made Trayvon a suspect immediately, wearing a hoodie, walking through the neighborhood, looking around at all the houses in an area that had just been hit by a bunch of young black people. Well, hello. And I've said this before. If there was a guy walking around with a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, and we had had a rash of burglaries with white guys with cowboy hats and cowboy boots on, he would be the suspect. And it doesn't, just because he's white isn't the fact. It isn't the point. The point is he fit the profile of the people that were doing the break-ins. That's what matters. And the fact that he was very suspicious, acting suspiciously and fitting the profile. Well, that's just the way it works. And if these young black guys don't like being profiled, then they need to not only not do these crimes, but when they see other young black people doing crimes, or they see their friends doing the crimes, they need to report it. They need to call the cops and say, these guys are doing this. Get all these kids that are doing these crimes off the street. And then pretty soon, everybody will see each other in the same way, because nobody's committing crimes. I mean, if you've never seen a black person commit a crime or break into a house or hurt anybody, and they've always been helpful and helping little old ladies across the street and et cetera, you will never have a prejudice bone in your body towards them. Why would you? I mean, these are just nice guys that are doing wonderful things to help people. But we know people can change their perceptions. In the 60s, bikers had a terrible perception that they were deadly people that would kill you for no reason, people that would rob you for no reason and do some terrible things. But over the years, that perception has changed, and now when we think of bikers, we think of older guys riding a bunch of bikes in a group, gathering toys together, toys for tots or something like that. I mean, we don't think of bikers in the same way we used to. At least I don't, because I don't see them anymore causing any trouble.
Of course, she's just one of the many celebrities who's taking part in what has become this massive movement of support of Trayvon's memory and his family. Also, Nichelle, a big Hollywood film is now feeling the impact of Trayvon's story.
So basically, he's saying that she's just jumping on the bandwagon with everybody else. As soon as one person, big person, comes out and says, "Oh my goodness, this little black kid was killed," and of course we had the pictures of the 12-year-old Trayvon killed in cold blood by this big, thick-necked, mean-looking guy in an orange jumpsuit or prison garb or whatever you want to call it. Of course, the story wasn't that Trayvon was on top of George, banging his head on the concrete and breaking his nose. It was that George was chasing this little kid, this little baby, through the neighborhood, this little baby that was carrying a can of iced tea and some candy. So, that was their statements. Of course they all jumped on that bandwagon. Who could be against that? Who could argue that George was in the right for doing that? No one could. And that's why I waited until way into the case to gather up all the information. In fact, I wanted to wait until we hear what George's side of the story was before I made any conclusive statements on this case. And that's what I did. And now that we have all the facts, we can examine them and come to a conclusion that's correct, or at least closer to correct than what the media had us believing. And of course, like I've said before, the media will be paying dearly for this. I know they think they're going to get out of it by pointing to a point of the law that says if you're famous, you're not protected, and people can say things about you that aren't true. And I said, because the fact that he was famous. Well, he wasn't famous. He became infamous based on those comments that the media created. So the media actually created the entire hysteria, and for them to suggest that the fact that he is a public personality would be ridiculous, seeing that they're the ones that made him a public personality, and he would not have been public. He had no interest in it. If the courts were to find that that's true, that because he became public, that they had the right to say these statements that weren't true, then there would be no stopping it. The media could attack anyone at any time and just make it such a big case and cause so much terror in that person's life that they could never be sued, because that person would be considered a public personality because of what the media did to him. Anyhow, the whole point of this video was that the media had used all the top speaking heads, like people like Oprah, to stir the passions of the people and cause great trauma for George. So, Oprah, you're part of the problem. From now on, I certainly hope that before you jump in and start popping off heads, that you would look at all the facts of the case. And if you can't figure out the facts of the case based on what you have, contact me through YouTube. I'll be more than happy to give you the facts of the case. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys later. Bye.